everything set. We've got everything prepared. It's just a matter of assembling from here. The first thing I'm gonna do is I've got my andouille sausage. I'm gonna go ahead and get that into the pan here, and we're gonna get a little bit of color on it, and then I'm gonna come back and talk to you about the roux here. And that sizzle, that's definitely something you want to hear. You always want to start off with a hot pan. But let's go ahead and get to this. Let's get to this roux here. There's a few different stages of roux. You've got a blonde roux, you've got medium, you've got dark, everything in between. There's different names for them. For gumbo particularly, I kind of like this dark brown chocolate roux. You don't want to take it too far. You don't really want that Wesley Snipes roux, like that black roux, because that's a little bit too far. But what the roux does, it adds as your as your thickening agent. I'm not even going to edit it this time because I've been up all night, so I'm not even going to retake it. I'll just keep it moving. So yeah, I like that kind of dark brown color. And what it's going to do, it's going to thicken your gumbo. It's going to determine the color of your gumbo, and it's also going to have that depth of flavor that it's going to add to your gumbo as well. The other thing that I wanted to talk about and kind of put a disclaimer out. So I had all the spices listed in the video earlier. I don't measure anything. That's not how I cook. I don't cook by measurement. Like, I couldn't tell you a teaspoon of this or 3 teaspoons of that. I'll leave that to the bacon and pastry people, because that's more of an exact science. Me, I cook by sight, by smell, by taste. And so none of this is measured. I did kind of err on more of the conservative side of this, because when it comes to spices and seasonings, you can always add to it, but you can never take away from it. Meaning that if you add too much salt or if you add too much spice initially in the beginning, done deal at that point. Like, you're done. The other thing is that gumbo is one of those dishes that needs to cook down. It needs the flavors to develop, and you're going to have evaporation. So the flavors are going to get stronger. So you just go ahead and just add this initially, and once it cooks down, go ahead and taste it again, and then adjust your seasonings. So right now, what we're going to do is I'm getting some color on this andouille sausage. You can use any kind of sausage you want to. Honestly, whatever you have. I like andouille. So we're gonna get some color on this, and then I'm going to add the roux to it. Now, the roux's already got the Trinity in it. You guys saw that. After the roux got to the color that I wanted, I went on ahead and added the garlic, added the Trinity, let that cook down a little bit. The other important tip is whatever stock, whatever liquid you're going to add, make sure it's hot, because if it's cold and you try to add it to the roux while it's cooking, that's when you're going to get those lumps in it. Because essentially, roux is just fat and flour. And the other thing about roux, with something like this, have patience with it. Cook it slow. Don't cook it too fast, because you want to cook that flour taste out of it. All right. Alright, now so now the sausage is starting to look real GBD right now. Golden brown and delicious. Brown is flavor when it comes to food, like caramelization, like you want that. So once you get a nice color on here, we can actually go ahead and add our spices in. Go ahead and get those toasted up a little bit. Stir that around. Let those flavors kind of like bloom, kind of cook a little bit. Give them time to go through puberty, if you will. They need time to develop. So we got those in there. We got those cooking a little bit. We can go ahead and add our roux now. Our roux with the Trinity. We can go ahead and get that in there. Don't worry about that little piece that just fell off the side. Like I said, I'm tired. I don't even feel like reshooting this. So we'll go ahead and add that in there. And now this is also one of those things where it's not going to be exact. So I mean, that to me that looks like it's gonna be enough room. It may or may not be, but honestly, I think it's gonna be just about right. That's not gonna be enough shrimp stock, just because I didn't have enough shells. But what we can do is we can go ahead and add that shrimp stock, and then you can just, I mean, you can add chicken stock, you can add water, as long as the final product is seasoned. Really doesn't matter. But I figured I bought shrimp with the shells on, might as well use that to make a shrimp stock. Alright, let's get this in here. Stir it up a little bit, heat it up. And like I said, hot liquid to this. Otherwise you're gonna end up with lumps. Alright. This isn't the ideal way to do it, but it's the way I'm gonna do it. Just gonna use this, stop the shells, and get that in there. Just get all the liquid in there. Now, roux is one of those things, you're never gonna know how thick the final product is going to be till it comes up to a boil. But just get in there and just make sure you're kind of stirring it, and that will, like I said, that's gonna take care of the lumps. As long as you start off with a hot liquid, and then once it comes up to a complete boil, that's when you're going to know how thick your final product is going to be. Now, as it starts to boil, you can see how it kind of thickened up. But the other thing that you can see is you can also see the impurities rising to the top, the residual oils. You know, once I add the crab, there's going to be a little bit more of the impurities in there. And then you'll just have to occasionally just like skim that off. And I'll give you a brief little demonstration. This actually isn't the best tool for it, but something like taking something like this and then just kind of going around the top here, like this stuff. That's the stuff you're going to want to get rid of. But as far as the consistency goes, I'm happy with this. My mom and I eat our gumbo a little bit on the thinner side. Some people eat it a little bit thicker, but I'm comfortable with this. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to add the shrimp. We'll add some bay leaves. Don't eat those. They're not edible. They do add a flavor though, so you can either just pick those out or inform whoever's going to be eating it that, hey, those don't get eaten. Dungeness crab. My grandma makes it with Dungeness. My mom and I, when she would make it for me, we were in Florida, so snow crab was easier, but either way. So we'll add our crab. Oysters. Now once you add the oysters, you don't want to stir it too much because the oysters are delicate. They'll break and they'll just shred. And these are actually good oysters. These are really big oysters too. So we'll go ahead and add those. And from here on out, we can just kind of turn it down to a simmer and just let it do its thing, let it cook down, and adjust the seasonings later. But yeah, just let this cook, let the flavors develop, let it come together, clean the impurities off, and then I will show you guys the plate up when it's done. So this is what you end up with after you let it cook down for a couple of hours. And that color comes from the roux. Honestly, you could let the roux go a little bit longer. It'll have a little bit of a nuttier flavor. But for me and my family, this is the stage that we like it in.